The Galactic Survey Consortium's database had exactly one entry for Swamp World Karathos 4, and it read as follows. Classification, Deathworld, Tier Omega. Atmospheric toxicity, Class 8 acid saturation. Flora status, carnivorous, threat level extreme. Fauna status, unknown, all survey drones lost. Recommended action, abandon. Do not return. Professor Kale Veyron had written that entry himself. It had taken his team 6 full months, 47 survey drones, 3 emergency evacuations, and 1 near-fatal encounter with something that had no business existing to compile those 3 sentences. He was, therefore, understandably alarmed when the human looked at his report, tilted her head, and said, "Oh, this looks lovely." Mara Ellison was, by official consortium classification, a Deathworld xenological explorer, first class. By unofficial classification, she was the reason the consortium had quietly added a new subcategory to their personnel files labeled "Do Not Assign Standard Risk Protocols." She had grown up on Earth. This fact alone explained approximately 83% of her behavioral anomalies, according to the consortium's psychological evaluation team. The remaining 17% they had simply marked as unknown biological phenomenon and moved on. Kale had reviewed her file before she arrived. He had read about Earth, the planet that existed in a gravitational and atmospheric sweet spot so narrow it should have been statistically impossible, yet somehow produced megafauna, hyperpredators, extreme weather events, and a species that, rather than evolving away from all of it, had instead decided to walk directly toward every dangerous thing and figure out how to live next to it. He had thought he understood. He had been wrong. Ms. Ellison, Kale said carefully, tapping the holographic report floating between them, this swamp produces sulfuric acid concentrations sufficient to dissolve standard-grade survey equipment within 4 minutes of exposure. The atmospheric fog alone requires a Class 6 filtration suit. The ground flora has demonstrated active prey tracking behavior. We lost survey drone 41 to what our sensors indicated was a plant. Mara was still reading. She had her chin in her hand. She looked interested. "Machem," she said. "We have not successfully mapped more than 12% of the swamp's interior," he continued. The exterior perimeter alone required 6 months of. 6 months? She finally looked up. Her eyes, as brown, warm, disturbingly calm, met his. "For a survey perimeter?" "It is a Class 8 acid swamp," Kale said, somewhat defensively. Mara made a face. Not a frightened face. Not a concerned face. The face of someone who has just been told it might rain on their picnic. "Okay," she said. "I'm going in Tuesday." Tuesday arrived. The entire survey outpost had, in various subtle and not-so-subtle ways, gathered to watch. Kale stood at the observation deck with Dr. Sen Theri, his chief atmospheric scientist, and Lieutenant ROQ, head of perimeter security. None of them spoke. They simply watched as Mara Ellison checked her gear at the swamp's edge. Her suit was not, Kale noticed, a standard Class 6 filtration unit. It appeared to be modified. "Is that," Dr. Theri began. "Duct tape," Lieutenant ROQ confirmed quietly. "Industrial grade, but still." Mara pulled a small device from her belt, pointed it at the acid fog rolling in from the swamp's interior, and clicked it twice. The device beeped cheerfully. She made a satisfied sound and clipped it back to her belt. "What is that device?" Kale asked through the comm. "Air quality checker," Mara said. "Built it from the environmental sensor kit in Storage Bay 3. Also a little piece I salvaged from Drone 19, hope that's okay." Drone 19 had been destroyed 4 months ago. Kale had written its loss report himself. "You salvaged from Drone 19, he repeated. "Just the atmospheric particulate reader. The rest was pretty chewed up." She paused. "By that plant. Nasty thing. Anyway, I'm good. See you for dinner." and she walked into the acid swamp. The first hour, nothing happened. Or rather, from the perspective of Kale's monitoring equipment, everything happened, and none of it was survivable, and yet Mara kept walking. The acid fog closed around her suit. The atmospheric sensors showed sulfuric concentration levels that should have begun eating through her seals. Instead, Mara's suit held. More than held, the modified filtration system she had apparently built from scavenged parts in 2 days was actively neutralizing the particulate load. Her internal suit environment is cleaner than our outpost air, Dr. Thera said, with the voice of someone watching the laws of physics have a quiet breakdown. The second hour, she encountered the flora. Survey Drone 41 had been destroyed in 0.8 seconds. The plant responsible, a wide, flat carnivorous species the survey team had designated Mobloom, had demonstrated electromagnetic tracking, rapid muscular contraction, and acid-secreting interior surfaces. Mara walked past 3 of them. They tracked her. The electromagnetic sensors pinged. The broad leaves lifted, oriented, prepared. She sprayed them with something from a canteen on her left hip. The Moblooms contracted, shuddered, and then, slowly, lowered their leaves. "What is in that canteen?" Lieutenant ROQ asked. "Vinegar, mostly," Mara said through the comm. Figured if the plants produce acid, they'd have acid-sensitive surface chemistry. Basic predator deterrent, you disrupt the thing they evolved to rely on, they recalibrate. Give them a minute, they'll leave me alone. Earth has plants like this. Well, Earth has worse plants than this, honestly. At least these ones don't move fast. Silence fell over the observation deck. Earth, Dr. Thera said slowly, has faster carnivorous plants than these. Oh, definitely. Mara's voice was completely casual. There's a species in the southeastern rainforests that can actually, you know what, let's talk about that later. I found something interesting. What she had found was a thermal vent cluster in the swamp's interior, a ring of geothermal activity that vented heated steam, neutralized the local acid concentration, and produced, in the resulting microclimate, a zone of almost temperate warmth surrounded by carnivorous flora on all sides. Natural barrier system, Mara said, sweeping her modified scanner across the area. The plants can't cross the thermal zone, too hot, wrong soil chemistry. The vent steam neutralizes the acid fog locally. Temperature in here is about, oh, this is perfect. 18 degrees. Light breeze. You can almost see stars through the fog layer. Kale stared at the sensor data she was transmitting back. She was standing in the geometric center of a Class-8 acid swamp, in a microclimate that his 6-month survey had never located because none of his drones had survived long enough to reach it, and she was describing it as perfect for camping. "Ms. Ellison," he said, very carefully. "Are you suggesting we establish a forward survey base inside the swamp?" "I'm suggesting we establish a really nice forward survey base inside the swamp," she corrected. "Kale, this place is incredible. The biodiversity in the thermal zone alone, I'm counting at least 40 species my scanner doesn't have records for. The acid-resistant moss on these rocks? The bioluminescence on the vent columns?" A pause, and he could hear the genuine wonder in her voice. "I know your drones couldn't get here. I know the report says Tier Omega. But look at this place." She turned the camera on her suit's sensor relay outward. The observation deck went quiet. The thermal vent cluster was beautiful. Columns of pale steam rose into acid-lit sky, glowing faintly gold and amber. Bioluminescent organisms pulsed along the vent walls in rhythmic waves of blue and green. The air, hostile, lethal, impossible air, caught the light from the steam and scattered it in slow-moving curtains of color. It looked like something out of a dream. "Oh," Dr. Thera said softly. "Yeah," Mara said. "Oh." The forward base took 3 weeks to establish, once Mara had mapped the safe entry corridors, neutralized the primary Mobloom clusters along the approach path, and designed a modified suit protocol that the rest of the survey team could actually use without her particular Earth-forged instincts. Professor Cale Veyron updated the consortium database entry for Corothos 4. He changed the recommended action line. It now read, "Recommend full survey, forward base established. Contact human specialist for entry protocol." He looked at it for a long moment. Then he added one line below it, in the personal notes field where no one would officially see it. She called it the perfect place for camping. She was right. Outside, in the amber-lit thermal zone at the heart of the world's most dangerous swamp, Mara Ellison was sitting on a bioluminescent rock, eating a sandwich, watching alien lights dance in poisonous fog. She looked completely at home. She was.